It's time now for French Connections, our weekly look at all of the intricacies of French life with our very own Florence Villeminot. Hi, Flo. Christmas is almost upon us. I can hardly believe it. And many of our viewers are actually wondering how Christmas, or Noël, is celebrated here in France.
That's right. Many of our viewers wanted to know more about the quirky details about Noël here in France. Let's take a look at a tweet. This is Paul K. He wanted to know, how is Christmas celebrated in France versus the United States? Decorations, cards sent. Well, the general idea of Christmas is very much the same here. It's a family celebration, a moment of peace and harmony and light. In the dark of winter, you see streets lighting up with Christmas decorations, shops pulling out the tinsel, people have Christmas trees in their houses. But if you've experienced Christmas in the States or in the UK, it may seem a little tamer here. People don't really go Christmas crazy. You don't see people wearing, Christmas sweaters. We don't OD.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. Well, I don't know. I like a good Christmas sweater. You don't OD on Christmas carols, etc. And Christmas cards aren't really a thing. In fact, people tend to send New Year's greetings instead.
Another thing that's very particular about Christmas here in France is that it's celebrated on the 24th. The 25th is a public holiday, but most people actually celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve.
That's right. People do get together on Christmas Day and have, a big meal like they do elsewhere. But here in France, it's all about Christmas Eve. In fact, people really gather around a beautifully decorated table for a delicious meal. And there's a word for this meal in France. It's called the réveillon de Noël, and it's our word du jour. You can see it here. Very important word during the Christmas season. Now, réveillon means to stay up late because it's quite a late dinner. It was traditionally after midnight mass. Now, like all things French, it's all about the food, isn't it? Because there are very specific things that you eat during the réveillon. You usually start with a good glass of champagne here, followed by some oysters, a little foie gras, some smoked salmon. You also have boudin blanc, which is a white sausage, truffles, caviar, snails. It's a lot. You can also have a dinde de Noël, the Christmas turkey that's often stuffed with chestnuts. Now, all these things are luxury goods. They tend to be quite expensive, but French people don't hesitate to dish out for this very special occasion.
At the end of a tough year, we let go and treat ourselves to delicious things. Even if it's expensive, oh well, we'll all be together, and that's what's important.
Now, on top of all of that food, there's also the traditional Christmas dessert. It's a cake that's shaped like a log, which is known as le bûche.
That's
la
right.
bûche.
Une bûche. La bûche, yeah, exactly. The inescapable bûche de Noël. Now, you can buy this delicious log-shaped cake in a boulangerie, a bakery, but a lot of people make them as well. It's all about the kitsch details. You have these little Santa Clauses with plastic saws. You have meringue mushrooms, anything to make it look like a real bûche. Now, what does it taste like? It often tastes like chocolate or chestnuts or pralines, but there are all sorts of flavors. There's really something for everyone.
Chocolate is delicious, but we ate a lot last night, so we're going for fruit, something lighter.
I ordered 2 cakes this year. We're going to be about a dozen around the table, so we're going to try 2 new flavors, mojito and raspberry.
It's symbolic. The bûche is part of our childhood, something you share with your parents and grandparents. It's passed down from generation to generation.
All right, so it's the 24th. You've had your big meal. You've eaten your bûche. When do you get to open your presents in France?
It really depends on the families. Some open presents on Christmas Eve. Often, if you have kids, you open them on Christmas morning. Now, what's particular about France, and you can see it happening behind me, is you don't put out a stocking. You put out your shoes for Santa Claus, the Père Noël, to fill them with gifts. And you have to be really strategic when you're a kid. I used to take my father's shoes to get more presents. Let's listen to some of these kids.
Wake up, kids. Santa came. It's time to get up. Santa Claus saw that we put our shoes out, so he filled them with gifts. I got a fire truck. I didn't ask for it, but I'm happy anyway.
He gave me the gift of my dreams.
Wow.
Aw, some things are truly universal. Let's come back to France, though. France, a traditionally Catholic country, midnight mass is still a very big celebration for many people.
That's right. As are nativity scenes. They're known as crèches here in France. If you've spent any time around Christmas time, you might have seen these. They depict the birth of Jesus in the manger with Mary and Joseph. But recently, there's been a big debate over whether or not they should be displayed in public space, because after all, France is a very secular country. Now, if you ask most French people, and this is really interesting, they'll say it's a traditional thing. It's not a religious thing. And in fact, the highest court, the highest administrative court, the Conseil d'État, just ruled this. Nativity scenes are cultural, not religious, and therefore they're compatible with laïcité, state secularism.
In those images behind you, Flo, we can see those little figurines called santons, which are so great here in France. You can get a lot of them at Christmas markets, and there are Christmas markets all over the place in the lead up to Christmas in France.
Indeed, there's a huge one here in Paris on the Champs-Élysées, but the most famous ones are in the north and in the Alsace region. For instance, you have the world-famous Strasbourg Christmas market, which has been around since 1570. Strasbourg says it's the Christmas capital of the world. And once again, it's all about food. It's all about drinking and, of course, the Christmas spirit.
The magic of Christmas is here.
It gets us in the Christmas spirit.
It's festive, and it smells good. Like cake, oysters, and mulled wine.
A little glass of white wine with some snails. Perfect.
We're starting with 12 oysters, and then we'll see.
It warms you up when the sun goes down. It's the Christmas spirit.
So much food. As you can see, Christmas in France is all about eating. And a fun fact is that right around the Christmas season, you start seeing a lot of advertisements for medicine to help you digest. So that's on that note, Merry Christmas, Joyeux Noël to all you.
Joyeux Noël to you, Flo, and to all of you a bit early for once. That wraps it up for this edition of French Connections. But don't forget, if you have any questions for Flo, you can always tweet her at Flo Villeminot. Also check out the brand new French Connections Facebook page. I'll see you soon.